Hello everybody, anybody new to my channel, my name is Jeff. Welcome to my little machine shop. So I decided to do a little video on total cleanup, what I do during total cleanup, and then what I do on a daily maintenance schedule. Anybody watching my videos knows I run my machines and my lathes get to work out every day. So I got her all cleaned up and we're going to go over maintenance, total cleanup, and then we're going to give you a little 3,550 hour review on it. At 19 months, I had 3,100 hours on this lathe, and I did a 3,100 hour review. I haven't been turning near the time on it. I don't think I do 25, 26 hours a week, maybe. Right now, we're looking at 2,550 hours at 3 months into ownership. So we're going to do a little review on it, see how it's changed from 19-month ownership to 23-month ownership. Some things have changed, from paint chips, the bed pan chipping real bad, paint removing all off of it, how well I've managed to not tear the lathe up. You see a lot of these lathes all tore up in here, right here, just from careless use. How I don't have that happening on this lathe, and how I keep my lathe looking great. So let me mount this camera behind me and we'll get busy. Yeah, giving you guys my opinion of this lathe and how I keep her going strong. So when I begin total cleanup, I clean my lathe to this point right here. I use a trowel, a brush, and my shop vac, and I get all the chips out of it. The only difference between how this lathe looks right now and what I do after I get all the chips out is then I take microfibers and I wipe down the bedways. I wipe down the lead screw, feed rod, and forward reverse rod. I totally dry the bedways of oil. My machine is constantly oiled. So everything's got oil on. All the rods have oils on them. The bedway's covered in oil. I take the cross slide and I push it all the way. Excuse me. Excuse me. And I clean the dovetails out of cross slide, all with microfiber cloths that I plan on throwing away. I get them spotless and dry of all oil. Then at that point, I take an acid brush in my oiling cans. My oiling cans are right there. And I take an acid brush and I paint the bedways with oil with an acid brush, completely covering them. And every piece of exposed metal. There's many parts of the feed rods, lead screw, and bed you'll never touch, you'll never use, but you still need to cover them with oil so they don't attract any rusting or oxidation. So, the only difference is after I clean my lathe and I hand oil all the bedways, I oil the feed rod, I oil the lead screw and the forward and reverse rod, and then I run my carriage back and forth a couple times on a high rate of feed, and I distribute the oil up and down the rods. At the same time as distribute the oil up and down the bedways, the new fresh oil. Then this lathe has oilers everywhere. So when I oil the lead screw here and the feed rod does not have an oiler up here. The lead screw has an oiler here, and it has an oiler here, and then the feed rod has an oiler down here, along with the excuse me, the forward and reverse rod. I oil these with the lathe running every time. Now, as you can see, these are freshly oiled right now. You can see I did it yesterday, and the oil's dripping off the bottom of each one. Okay, but that's what I do. So we go in, we hit all these oilers on this machine. It's got oilers everywhere. Okay, so we always fill up our oilers, tailstock. Okay, and again we do these with machine running. It also has an oiler in the change gear area. It's right here. It's kind of hard to get to, and that one you have to take the cover off to do. So we fill up all our oilers. Oh, excuse me. Also, grease your gears. I wipe down my feed rods before I oil them. I clean all the grease off the rack right here. I dry everything with microfibers, and I throw the microfibers away. So there's no small chips of any type of material in the microfibers. they pick that up, and then I just throw them away. So anyways, so we clean it all off. We re-grease the rack. We run oil all along the rods, and then we feed the carriage back and forth a couple times. Distribute brand new oil all over the bedways. A week and a half ago, I changed my headstock hypoid gear oil, and I changed my gearbox oil. Okay, gearbox windows there, hypoid headstocks here, and my apron oil is brand new. Okay, so the headstock was just changed a week and a half ago. Gearbox was changed a week and a half ago. So that's what we do maintenance to this machine during a total cleanup. We hit every oiler, everything, dry it down, then recoat it all. Then on a daily basis, now I use this lathe pretty much every day. Haven't been using it as much here the last few months. I hit my oilers every day. Every oiler gets hit before I start running the machine. That's daily maintenance. And I warm my bearings up and my gearbox up. I never ever jump on a lathe and just start running it. I always start on a low RPM, and I'll just let the spindle and let it run. Just let it sit there and run for a while and get them heat all through the gear oils, in the spindle bearings, and the gears. And then that's how I take care of my machine. I'm very careful. I've been running lathes a long time. You don't see my machine all tore up right here. This is a spot on these machines. It's got all the, you'll see some, if you've seen a lot of the lathes like this spot right here has no paint on it. It's from them using the chuck keys and banging the chuck keys into them. And it just tears the paint off here. As you'll see, I don't have that. This lathe's got near 3,550 hours on it. And my lathe's not all tore up, but this is how I keep a clean, nice, strong lathe. And that's exactly the maintenance that I do. You can go in and put all new fresh grease on the rack, and like I said, distribute the oil up and down the feed rods and the ways with auto feed after you do it. Take care of your tailstock. Oil the chuck too. The chuck's got oilers in it. And when you run a chuck after you've oiled the chuck, look, see, it's got a drip of oil right there. That's what will come out of the chuck. So don't have your face right there when you're running after you oil the chuck, because you're going to be wearing oil. So we have 3,550 hours on this lathe now. Like I said, I haven't been running it as much. But let's talk about what's changed. The biggest change that's occurred since the 3,100 hour review was I didn't have any real material coming off the bedpan. Okay, look at this now, all that paint. But I used so much oil that this literally has a coating of oil on it. So we got it there, and it's underneath of it too, real bad. You can see it. This is my biggest complaint at this point with this lathe, and it's not all that hateful, considering this lathe runs strong, and it's a fantastic lathe, so I just love it. So 3,550 hours. Let me put this camera on the table here. I've been holding it on the gimbal this time, I'm sure you can tell, and we'll talk about this lathe at 3,550. I totally forgot to put this in, so I'm just going to throw this little segment in this video somewhere. When I clean my lathe up, I removed the tailstock. I didn't even hit on this, so I'm going to make sure you guys hear this. I take the tailstock off. I wipe down its surfaces. I take stones. I take my die maker stones, and I just surface the V-way and the flat surface that it mates on. It's mating surfaces to the lathe right here. I'll lightly take a stone and dress them, and that's it, dressing them. Quick application of a stone. You don't want to remove material, because the height of that will change over time if you keep if you stone it, literally stone it. So you don't stone it, but you take a stone and just dress it very lightly up and down each surface a couple times. I wanted to hit on that, make sure that was in this video and I didn't miss it. But I do, I take it off, I clean it up real well, I clean it with rags and microfibers, dry it off, I lightly surface it with stones, then I oil it and I put my tailstock back on and I adjust my clamps. Okay, let's move on with this video. Had to get that in there. I just decided to keep it on the gimbal. So at 3,550 hours versus 3,100 hours, another 4 months down the road, I put almost 500 more hours on it. Like I said, I'm not running it as much. So, like I said, my biggest complaint with this lathe is the paint coming off here. Other than that, I have no complaints whatsoever. The lathe is better than it was at 3,100 hours. It's broken in better. I talked about some of the stiffness I had in where the bed, excuse me, where the gap comes out, and the rack right here, how it had a stiffness there for a long time, and it broke in nicely. I said that in the 3,100 hour review. That is just better than ever. It's still breaking in. The bedways are literally coming in. You can see the shininess here. So we're getting more and more surface area, especially up in here. This is where our lathe wears, right up in here. All that load is being placed on the tool from rotating spindle. You know, this is where our lathe wears. But this lathe is literally coming together. You can see I don't work down and out here as much as I do up in here, because you can see more break-in has occurred up here. Okay, so that's covered in oil. I got beautiful coating of oil on it. So I have nothing to say to tell you about at this 3,550 hour review, other than this lathe is better than it was. The only issue I have right now is I need to do an adjustment on the tailstock. I got about 1,000 taper that's showing up quite regularly over about 12 inches. Not hateful at all, but I do need to address that. This lathe is purrs like a kitten. Everything operates smoothly and precisely. I do aerospace quality work on this machine. I was in the aerospace business. This is where I became a tool maker. And here I am, my little machine shop out here, and the work I can produce on this lathe is absolutely outstanding. And again, I got quite a few years in it, and that certainly goes along with that. But the lathe has given me a platform, a good platform to work off of, and I trust it. I just can't tell you how happy I am with this lathe at this point for the price point and the money I have in it. My go-to toolings right here. This is my go-to, and you'll notice I don't have my tooling right there above the chuck. That's because of that oil. You just end up just I don't even know where to go with that. You see a lot of people put their tools right there. That's not the place you do it. That's why mine are all pushed off to the side there. I never mentioned that in any other video, but there you go. That's why my tools are over there, so they don't have all kind of debris and oil and stuff slung up onto them. So at this point, this lathe is fantastic. I've done metric threading with it. I do tons and tons of SAE threading with it. I run this lathe every day. I take care of this lathe. I have specific things that I do to this lathe to keep her looking pretty, to keep her functioning strong, and she's just purring like a kitten still. So we have 3,550 hours on this lathe, and I can honestly say this lathe is just breaking in, and it's getting better and better. Everybody, please like, share, and subscribe my videos. I love you all very much. We're going to do a maintenance and another review on the mill too. I don't use the mill as much. 90% of the stuff I do in here is done right here. I do quite a bit on the mill, but most stuff will come off the lathe, go to the mill. So the mill don't get used near as much as the lathe, and it's always been that way. My whole career is the lathe is where I've spent most of my hours. So again, everybody, have a great rest of your weekend, a good work week coming up. I love you all. Please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.